What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA Show. And wow. What a weekend. What a weekend in the world of combat sports. I've been itching, waiting to get back and to do the show this Monday. In fact, I was thinking about it this weekend, Justin. I want to start. I'm going to talk to you about this off air as well, but we're going to start ramping up the content. I think I'm just overflowing with thoughts and comments and ideas about the fight world. It's just seeming to get more and more exciting. There's so many things that happened and so many things for us to talk about. But anyways, we're going to kind of run through everything today. It was a crazy weekend. You know, they even had on the MMA Hour, which I was watching earlier today, at the beginning of the show, they went around and said, what was the most exciting thing in combat sports that happened this weekend? Because so many things happened. And one of the things was, you know, there was a big fight in France as well, non-UFC fight, which we haven't really covered non-UFC stuff, but Cedric Doumbé fought, and there was this crazy thing with the referee and a splinter, and that was wild. But then on top of that, then we had the Francis Ngannou fight. We had the UFC 299 event. So Justin, let me turn it over to you to kick this off. What do you think? Because I already have my thoughts, but I've already thought about it. What do you think was the biggest event from this weekend in the world of combat sports?
You know, there was, like you're saying, there was so many great things going on and so many great matchups. But really, what I'd have to say, you know, and I'm not going to go to the main events of Francis, and I mean that's all speaks for itself. But I'd like to talk about Michael Venom Page. All
Hmm.
right. He goes into the UFC at 35 or 37 years old. He makes his UFC debut against a very, very tough, very, very game, a very, very frustrating Kevin Holland, and goes in there and make it look easy, man. I was so impressed with Michael Page and his stand-up and his style and the way he comes in with his hands down. Now, my second take I want to get is Dustin Poirier. We're talking about an old man that's going up against with not much to gain from fighting, you know, Saint Denis, and to go in there and starch him in the second round. What a fucking killer, man! You know, my heart was for Poirier the whole time. I'm so happy for him. You know, my pocketbook said Saint Denis. You know, and he's coming out saying he's making. I'm not gonna say he's making excuses. He's like, oh, I was sick and I had this and I had that. It's like, dude, you fucking lost, man. Not only did you lose, you lost to an awesome Dustin Poirier. I think that shoots Dustin right into the title shot. I mean, he made it look easy. I don't think. I mean, he went for a guillotine about 17 times, and even after, like your coach kept telling you to stop going for that guillotine. But you know, I can relate to Dustin in that sense. Is like, dude, when you got a move that you like, and you're just gonna keep going for it, keep going back to that well, and you know, he didn't have to finish the fight with the guillotine. He was able to get the TKO finish there, or knockout finish, how you ever want to call it. But between Michael Venom Page, between Dustin Poirier, I really felt they stole the show.
Yeah, and you know, it wasn't just Dustin Poirier's coach that was saying not to pull the jump the gilly, as he likes to call it. He said it was also Gamrot. Gamrot trained with him, and Gamrot was telling him, "Don't jump, do not jump guillotine." He told it to him before they all said that, but he kept doing it, and maybe he put himself in a little bit of danger, but he still pulled off the victory with amazing striking. And, you know, about the Saint Denis fight, that's one that I need to watch a second time, but I really want to look at it in terms of my understanding is when you get a staph infection, which is what he clearly had on his head, right? When you're on the antibiotics, it definitely impacts your cardio, but that fight was over pretty early.
Yeah.
So do you feel like that actually had an impact, a substantial impact, or do you feel like, yeah, that's somewhat of coping?
Here's the thing, man. When you have the output that Saint Denis has, like, dude, he is going from bell to bell in your face, throwing punches, throwing takedowns. Like, it doesn't matter, you know, if you're on antibiotics or not. Like, that's just an exhausting pace. And after watching the first round and Dustin surviving the first round, and I really think that's the key to beating this guy is weathering the storm. You know, and he hit Poirier with some great shots. It took him down a bunch. He told him, "Well, once I get on his back, the fight's over." Poirier can grapple, man. That guy can
Yeah.
wrestle. And that's just such an exhausting pace. Even when you're on somebody's back, clinging to their back, like that's tiring, dude. Like people don't understand. Like holding somebody down or being on somebody's back is still a tiring gig. So with that being said, you know, I think that he was exposed. You know, I mean, he finally fought a legit title contender, and he was exposed. Man, he came out firing hot right in the first round, like he does. And you know, I can see why he has so many finishes in the first round, dude. The guy's heavy-handed. He's straightforward. He puts you in the fence. He takes you down. He beats you up. He has great striking. He has great wrestling. He has great grappling. He has great cardio. But it doesn't matter how good a cardio you have when you're on the gas pedal nonstop. Dustin Poirier looked like the true veteran in there. He took the fight. He slowed it down. He kept going for his guillotine, applying that pressure, St. Denis' neck, and again, weathering the storm in the first round and prevailing in the second round.
Now, as I mentioned, I need to watch the fight a second time because I want to watch it really closely. But my first impression, I know you mentioned that Benoit Saint Denis had great striking, but to me, it looked a lot sloppier than Dustin's. Obviously, Dustin's one of the best strikers in the UFC. Did you agree? Did you find a distinct difference, or did you feel they were somewhat on the same, somewhat comparable?
I just think that they were just totally different styles. Dustin's a veteran of the sport. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected, he's precise, and you got someone like Saint Denis that is just going to be going forward, winging big shots. Remember, he only has to land one of those shots to possibly end the fight. Dustin Poirier, again, showing his veteran status, showing how he can sit back, weather the storm, play defense, and then exposing opportunity when like I said, again, reiterate, Saint Denis is just straightforward throwing shots, and again, he only needs to land one. He's so powerful. He's so strong. He's so fucking powerful, man. I just reiterate how powerful this guy is. And I don't want people to think like, oh, his striking isn't that good. No, it's great. The problem is Dustin Poirier is just a gangster. And again, he weathered the storm and he was able to pick his shots going into the second round.
And fair enough. And I'm not trying to say that his striking is subpar. I just meant in comparison,
Sure.
but Dustin's one of my favorite strikers to watch. His boxing is just, it's so crisp. And it was incredible. We all are Dustin Poirier fans, even though we both picked Benoit Saint Denis. Sadly, I wish we had it now in retrospect, but it is what it is. But so happy for him. And by the way, you notice on this card, Dustin Poirier, Michael Venom Page, Gilbert Burns lost, but Piotr Jan, the older guys seem to keep winning. So that was kind of interesting. Anyways, all right. So that was an incredible fight. We got so much to get through today, so I want to keep it rolling. I'm going to bring it backwards. I want to go to the main event, and then we can jump down the line. Because this fight, I need to make sure that we have all the time in the world to talk about it, because this absolutely blew me away. Sean O'Malley coming in there and absolutely obliterating Marlon Chito Vera. And I mean, I can't emphasize enough how impressed I was, how amazed I was at watching the fight. I watched it again last night in its totality, and it was just such an amazing, incredible fight to watch. And credit to both guys for sticking in there. I mean, that was 5 rounds of nonstop action. And if you looked at the striking at the very end, they still look crisp. It wasn't sloppy by the 5th round, even when they were both, I'm sure, completely exhausted. O'Malley looked crisp as ever. Chito Vera threw that crazy body shot right at the end, a liver shot that, made him sit down at the very end. So, I mean, the whole fight was incredible, but it was just pure mastery from the striking standpoint. Obviously, from the bit that I know for the last 4.5-5 years of training Muay Thai, I mean, I was just so impressed. And he threw an amazing spinning back kick off the cuff and just landed. The speed was such a noticeable difference. So massive credit to Sean O'Malley. And I want to hear your thoughts, but I just want to say one last thing. I think some people are maybe dismissing Chito Vera a little bit, but Chito Vera is an amazing fighter. Think about the people that he's beaten. He's beaten Dominic Cruz. He's had great battles with a lot of other fighters. He's ranked high. He is no joke. But I think now we're seeing that Sean O'Malley is just on another level, and he takes his preparation so seriously. He takes his sleep seriously. He does everything to a T, and I think now we're seeing it all pay dividends. So, Justin, what were your thoughts on this main event fight, which I thought was one of the best main events I've ever seen?
Let's talk about Marlon Vera for a hot second, man. This guy is a fucking gangster. Dude, he ate some of the hardest shots that anybody could ever eat in MMA, whether it was kicks, knees, elbows, punches. This guy went in there determined, and people talk and they're dismissing, oh, he got his ass whipped. Listen, he's fighting for the UFC championship, and all you guys are talking about, oh, he's not that good. He's not that good. Shut your fucking mouth as you sit on the couch and watch him fight. Again, he's fighting the best fighter in the world at his weight class. And just because he lost doesn't make him a bum. The difference maker in the fight to me was the speed. Sean O'Malley's distance and speed was so fucking good for 5 rounds straight. He stayed composed. He never exposed himself. He was in, he was out, he was in, he was out. Chito was throwing a lot of punches. I know Sean threw almost like 250 to 300 punches, and Vera still threw 200 punches. I think like the percentage was like 33% Vera landed and over 50% for Sean. So again, this guy, both of these guys are animals. I wasn't sold by Sean until he really beat Peter Yan. This guy is only getting better. Every time he fights, he gets better. His wrestling defense is getting better. His footwork is getting better. He's switching from southpaw to orthodox, orthodox to southpaw to a square stance. You never know where these strikes are coming from, which is going to make him dangerous. He has power in his right hand. He has power in his left hand. He has power in his teep kicks. He has power in his knees. This guy is the real deal. Cheeto Vera went in there, went out on his shield. I know he lost the fight, but man, if he would have blitzed him, if there was 2 minutes left in that fight, he might have finished. He might have finished Sean O'Malley, man. In the last 10 seconds, he hit him with that great. I don't remember if it was a knee or a punch to the body. It
Punch.
keeled him over. It was a punch. It keeled him over. You saw him sitting down at the end of the fight. Dude, you add another minute or 2 minutes onto that fight, we might have a new UFC champion. Cheeto Vera is a fucking gangster, man. I've always had respect for him, especially beating Sean the first time. Unfortunately, he just was a little bit slow for Sean in this. I feel like he was on the defense a little too much. You heard his corner in between rounds. Hey, we need to step on the gas. We need to make this a dogfight. If you stand at Sean O'Malley's range, he's way too fast. He's way too long. And unfortunately, that's what Cheeto Vera did for 5 rounds.
Yeah, so and I'm going to show you here. I just pulled up the significant strikes. I remember it. I don't remember this stat because I thought it was about 2-1, but it's almost 3-1 in terms of the significant strikes. And to your point, Cheeto was dangerous the entire fight. That was what was really impressive to me. Like there was a point, okay? I don't know if you saw the right cross in the 5th round. Nasty right cross and totally legal, right? By the way, not illegal, totally legal strike. Wasn't an eye poke or anything like that, but it caught him in the eye. I'm going to go back to full screen. So it caught him in the eye and something happened, something bad. I think it was his left eye. He couldn't see. And so there was when Sean, anytime Sean would come close, he would just shell up because he didn't know what was coming. I was actually felt scared for Cheeto. It was like that looked really, really bad, but he never quit, which was insane. And then he still had the wherewithal to throw that last body shot. And by the way, it would have been after the bell if he would have gotten it, but he almost clipped him with a brutal knee, but he just barely missed right after that liver shot. So he was in there right to the end. And that was what I was talking to one of my buddies about is like, I'm a big Sean O'Malley fan and I was kind of rooting for him. And I was like, man, he's so dominant, but this fight could still switch. You never know. Marlon could get a good clip and maybe knock him out. So that's why it was such a great fight because it was amazing to watch Sean O'Malley just so masterful. Might be one of the best fighters in the UFC. I mean, I think we have to start realizing that he's not just a gimmick. He's not. I mean, probably most people obviously do know that, but I think there are some people that still think, hey, he's a gimmicky fighter. He's been gifted like easy matchups. I don't even think nobody can say that anymore. It's ridiculous. Petr Yan, Aljamain Sterling, and Cheeto Vera. I mean, it's insane. So yeah, that fight was just so beautiful. What do you think is okay? So we got probably 2 options next for Sean O'Malley, right? We've either got Merab, obviously, which I feel is the more appropriate fight. And this is actually the fight that I want to see. I don't want to see him fight Ilya. That's just me. Or Ilya. Now, after watching this, what do you think about? Let's talk about the Merab matchup first.
I don't think it's a good matchup for him. With that being said, Merab is a pressure fighter. I think Merab's going to come in and try, and that's where Cheeto Vera had some minor success. It's like he wasn't blitzing in on Sean. Sean is really waiting on that right hand. He has it cocked the whole time. So when Cheeto, if Cheeto was going to blitz, he was going to try to time, kind of like he did Aljamain Sterling. Cheeto really kept his composure at keeping away from that, which was a great for the majority of the fight. That's the thing with Merab, though. He is going to be in O'Malley's face. He is going to be pressing forward. So I know Sean's going to be looking for that hard right hand, kind of like he did Aljamain Sterling. Dude, if Merab gets his hands on him, Sean might be in trouble here. We were talking about a guy with an endless gas tank that can just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot, and he's gonna wrestle. He had like 40 takedown attempts against Peter Yan. It's just gonna be a relentless pace. Again, with that being said, Sean O'Malley's expecting that. Sean O'Malley's looking to time that pressure with his right hand. Now you look at Ilia Topuria. I think Sean did a great job by calling him out after the fight. I think Ilia Topuria is a better matchup for Sean. In the sense of it's going to be a striking fest. Sean thinks he's one of the best strikers in the UFC. Ilya is obviously one of the best strikers in the UFC. This is going to be a kickboxing fight. They're going to throw grappling out the window. So why Sean called him out, I think was smart because, again, he can go and test his striking against one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world, up a weight class. He doesn't have much to lose by taking that fight. If he goes up to 145 and loses to Ilia Topuria, he was supposed to. He's the smaller guy. He's not as powerful. He might not be as dynamic because, again, the speed and the size. But if he goes against Merab and loses to Merab, now we're like, oh shit, there's a lot to lose there. He loses his belt. He loses a lot of that credibility, and he might never get a shot back at it. So I think the right move for Sean is to go up, fight Ilia Topuria, try to propose that fight to get in a kickboxing match. It'll be another great payday. Win or lose, he has nothing to lose in the. Excuse me. He has nothing to lose in the fight. He's not going to lose his belt. He's not going to lose his fame as a bantamweight champion. If he loses to Merab, he's going to lose all that.
I see what you're saying from their perspective. That's probably why he's calling for that fight. MMA Guru said it was like basically a freebie. When you move up as a champ, you get a shot. If it fails, you come back and you still got the title. And I understand that. I'll tell you from my fan perspective, I'm really starting to believe that Sean O'Malley might be one of the greatest fighters of all time. I can't, and we still haven't really even seen his jiu-jitsu. He talks about training it all the time. And I used to think that he was just saying that as a bluff. I don't know anymore. His preparation seems to be so dialed in, and he doesn't take shortcuts. He's really diligent about his diet, about his sleep. I'm starting to believe that he does have some grappling defense and some solid jiu-jitsu. So I don't know. If you're asking me, I love Ilia Topuria. I want to see him explode as a star. I think it's too soon. If I'm looking at this from a fan perspective, but also from the UFC perspective, it's too soon. They're just budding stars. They're about to explode. Give Ilia a title defense. And we've had Sean O'Malley with his first title defense. Fantastic. People are going to say if he goes up to fight Ilia, that he's running away from Merab. Whether or not that's true, I think that's going to be the sentiment. And why not? Let's let him battle it out. And how unbelievable will it be if Sean O'Malley does get the victory over Merab? People are counting him out. People are saying he's running away. Hey, he fought Aljo. He came out victorious. Let's see what he can do against Merab. I think that would be incredible. And then once they have a couple title defenses, then we put them together and we have a crazy super fight, because they're on point to be the biggest stars. And by the way, the last thing I want to throw out there, people have been making the comparison between Sean O'Malley and Conor McGregor for a long time, right? But we're always saying, hey, you're never really going to match the energy that Conor McGregor had in that entire come up, right? But I'm starting to feel as though Sean O'Malley's rise is more interesting and more impressive than Conor's. And I want to get your thoughts on this. Obviously, he had the entire momentum of Ireland. I think Sean's not as electric right off the bat, but I think he's winning a ton of people over because his fight style is so exciting. And yeah, that 13 or 11 second KO against Jose Aldo was crazy. But think about that last fight, what we saw for 5 rounds straight, right? The cardio, the incredible skill, it was just perfection in the striking. I mean, to me, and he's got a good title defense. He's going to get another one. To me, this is a more exciting build-up to watch a superstar be born. What are your thoughts? Do you agree or disagree?
I wasn't on the Sean hype train at the beginning. I thought they were feeding him cans to build his skill set. And once again, I was proven wrong, man. And I'll own it when I say it. Sean O'Malley is a star. Sean O'Malley has some of the best striking in the UFC at any weight class. Now, does that mean he can go up to welterweight and hang? Absolutely not. He's too small. But he can from a technical standpoint. Dude, his stance switching is so crisp. And as I'm watching it, I was just blown away by how smooth he can switch his stance and not be alerting. So a lot of guys, when they switch their stance, they do like a traditional Muay Thai stance switch where they jump up in the air and switch their stance. Sean's doing it while he's circling. Sean's doing it while he's walking forward, while he's walking backwards. A lot of times he'll be in an orthodox stance, and when he gets pressured in, he'll step back with his left foot to deliver a straight left, just kind of like he did Aljamain Sterling. But that time he stepped back with his right foot. Dude, this guy is on point. I don't want to call him one of the best of all time, because again, he's beat some good guys, but I haven't seen his wrestling tested. I haven't seen his grappling tested. With that being said, I mean, if he goes in and cleans out Merab, he doesn't need to have it tested, because if Merab can't take him down, nobody's going to take him down. So, I am on the Sean O'Malley hype train. I go out to Montana this weekend to do some commentary gig out there. I'm sure I'll see him out there. This guy's the truth. This guy's the real deal. He is the champion. He beat Aljamain Sterling. He comes in, he beats a very, very tough Chito Vera convincingly. Obviously, some of the judges scored 10-8 rounds. I'm on the Sean O'Malley hype train. I'm behind him. I support him 100%, and I think he is a star in the making if he keeps doing things right.
100%. So exciting. I still will have to say, if I said the fighter I'm most excited to see would still be Hamzat, but Sean O'Malley's a close second now. That he's a close second, and that's incredible. Okay, so we talked about Dustin Poirier. We got to talk about, you already brought it up, Michael Venom Page. But holy smokes, I just want to say I was absolutely incredibly wrong on this, and I don't know. We looked at the highlights of Michael Venom Page, and it seemed like there was a stark difference between the competition he was facing in those highlight reels and somebody like Kevin Holland. But I don't know. I guess I mean, I'm not the expert, obviously, but I was taking my best crack at it. But I was so wrong. And I'm pretty happy to be wrong, because wow, what an incredible fight. What an amazing performance. He frustrated Kevin Holland. He won pretty dominantly. And I mean, what was up? Those spinning elbows, or I don't even know what to call them. Those elbows that he cracked Kevin Holland with. Again, another guy with an amazing chin. I don't know how he survived that and didn't get knocked out cold. But let me turn it back over to you in terms of that very unorthodox, like the blitzing, right? Where he's stepping back and then rushing in so quickly, and you don't even know what to do. What did you think about his performance, and how do you think his style will hold up as he continues to progress in the ranks of the UFC?
I thought Michael Venom Page looked incredible, man. I'm not going to say that we got it wrong. I know we did pick Kevin Holland to win, but we had strong evidence of why we chose him to win. Just the lack of competition. I mean, you could see some of the things that he was getting away with in Bellator, where he knocked guys out. He tried with Kevin Holland, and Kevin Holland blocked a lot of his stuff. Landed some good shots too, but you can definitely see the skill difference.
Okay.
I mean, Michael Venom Page has been putting guys away in the first and the second round, making them look silly. Kevin Holland, I believe, was in the fight the whole time.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot more competitive than I thought it was going to be. I thought Kevin Holland was going to land bigger and better shots, and it's okay to be wrong there. The only thing I don't like about Michael Venom Page is his age. He's 37 years old. He's just now getting to the UFC. How many good years does he have left? I think what should be next for Page is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson has a very similar karate style. I think it'd be a strike fest. Two very, very good guys. That'd be they're not going to try to wrestle each other. And Thompson's, I believe, in his early 40s. We got two older guys. Throw him right up in there with Wonderboy Thompson. I think that's next for him, and that really can solidify him in the division if he can beat Wonderboy Thompson.
Fantastic fight. Would be an amazing fight. Really, really fun for the fans. Super, super fun. And I agree. So Michael Venom Page, we welcome you to the UFC. And you know what's really cool is he keeps talking about how incredible it is to be at the UFC compared to Bellator. Not necessarily, he's not like crapping on Bellator, but he's talking about the professionalism, the preparation, the difference in the entire production and how seamless it was. And I don't know, to me, that's cool, because I am as much of a fan of the fighters. I'm also a fan of the UFC as well as an organization. I do think it does a great job. So to hear somebody come over and talk about that heightened level of professionalism is pretty cool. And I think we can see why the UFC is so successful. Okay, so I know we already talked about this fight. Let's keep it rolling. This is one that I was pretty surprised by. This was a crazy outcome. I thought Gilbert was doing great before he got knocked out, but man, Jack Della Maddalena, I should say, his striking was beautiful. You could see the difference in terms of the striking abilities. Obviously, Gilbert kept shooting for the takedowns, but man, I mean, every fight on this main card was incredible. What did you think? What were your thoughts in terms of the outcome?
First time I saw Jack Maddalena fight, wow. I am blown away. I chose Gilbert Burns in this because I'm a Gilbert Burns fan. I've trained with him. He's an incredible fighter. He takes it. He brings it every single time he fights. But Jack Maddalena, holy shit, his striking is on a different level. This guy was so crisp and composed. He looked like he's been in the UFC for 10 years and had 30 fights plus. Like, he walked Gilbert Burns down, never got out of position. That's what gave Gilbert such a hard time taking him down, because you have to understand, it's easy to take guys down. Like, for me, being a short fighter with a 67-inch reach, everybody I fight has a longer reach than me. So I really have to lunge into a lot of my shots, or almost jump into my shots, like a leaping left hook or like a really long overhand. In turn, that puts me at risk for takedowns. Jack, on the other hand, he kept his composure. He kept his posture the whole time. He never left position, to give Gilbert Burns a chance to take him down and really fuck him up. And when Gilbert did have him, his defense was incredible. I'm really impressed with this kid. I think this kid has a bright future in the UFC.
What do you think about his call out, Shavkat? People are saying he'll beat Shavkat.
regardless if he wins or loses, this guy is a businessman. He knew going into that fight after he beat Gilbert Burns, he already knew that that wasn't an impromptu thing. He knew it. Nobody is calling Shavkat out right now. Nobody.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you need to do. You need to call out the guys that are undefeated. You need to call out the guys that are that are killers if you want to make a name for yourself. Jack did just that after beating a title contender of Gilbert Burns. He calls out Shavkat. I believe he's undefeated, and
Yeah, I think so. Or maybe
like
one loss.
that's the fight to make. And I can almost guarantee that is the fight they do make because nobody is calling out Shavkat.
Yeah, so so that's what I was curious to know your thoughts. Excuse me, curious to know your thoughts. I'm looking up and double checking his record right now. But so you do think that was a really smart call out because yeah, wow, he's undefeated. Jeez, but like if you, I was just thinking from a business standpoint, that just seems like such a hard fight. Although I'm hearing people say that they think he'll beat Shavkat, which is blowing my mind because everybody talks about Shavkat like the Terminator. But I thought, hey, that's such a tough fight. That's a little bit dangerous. But you, in your opinion, as a professional fighter, that's a great call out, is what you're saying.
I think it's a great call because again, nobody. That's the thing. Like with Conor McGregor, when Conor's in and when he's live, everyone's calling. I want Conor McGregor. I want the red panty night. Like, dude, fucking, I'll call it Conor McGregor. Everyone wants a piece of Conor McGregor
Yeah,
because he's on his downfall. He's already rich. He's lost like 17 fights in a row, and people know they're gonna get a good payday. Shavkat, you look at Shavkat on the other hand, he's undefeated. This is a win-win for Jack Maddalena. Like he goes in there, and even if he loses a close decision, people are gonna be like, they're gonna start putting respect on his name. This is the
right.
first time I got to see him fight. And again, I chose Gilbert Burns because he's the old vet that's fucking rock hard, like super sharp, very tough. And Jack went in there and proved me wrong. Again, I didn't have enough nor probably you didn't either, enough footage to watch, or I didn't really care to watch him before because I never heard of the guy prior. But now again, calling out Shavkat, I mean, only good things can come from it. Even if the fight doesn't get made, this tells Dana White this guy is a
True.
gamer. He's ready to go. He wants to fight the best in the world. If he fights Shavkat and loses, who cares? Right? He called
Yeah.
out one of the undefeated guys that's going to be in title contention. But if he calls out Shavkat and wins, now we're talking about title contention in the next fight or two after that.
Oh, I mean, I don't see how they couldn't send him right to the top of the list for number one contender, and that would be an exciting fight too against somebody like Leon Edwards. Man, welterweight division's on fire. I thought Gilbert, by the way, I just want to throw this out there. I thought he looked great. I thought at time, I don't know if people agree on this, but it looked like he was winning the fight at for a good chunk of it, and then he kind of got caught, and then he got knocked out. But I thought Gilbert looked really, really good. I liked his takedowns, and yeah, I mean, I guess Jack Maddalena came out victorious, but I'm excited to see Gilbert and his next matchup as well. I think he's still got a lot to do. He's what now? I think 37, which Jack Maddalena is only 27, which is crazy. But yeah, really, really, really fun fight. What do you see next for Gilbert?
I don't know, man. He's like I said, he's getting up there in age. He's lost a couple in a row now. I mean, he might just be fighting for a paycheck now. I don't see him getting back into title contention. I mean, these young kids are so fucking good, man. Jack Maddalena to come in there and do what he did to Gilbert. And yeah, I thought it was a very close fight. Gilbert definitely wasn't out of the fight. He still could have stole that fight at the end. But still, this guy, Jack, is only going to be getting better. Gilbert, we talk about growth, when we're talking about Francis Ngannou, like how much better he should be getting in between fights. Gilbert isn't getting that much better in between fights. Jack, on the other hand, is. He's still young. He's still 27. He has 10 years to catch up to Gilbert Burns. I think Gilbert Burns is on his downfall. The UFC will probably give him a couple more fights for a payday, but I don't see him in title contention anymore.
Man, okay. Well, I guess we'll see. Now, I want to jump ahead. I got a hard stop at 2 p.m. So I want to jump ahead. You mentioned Francis Ngannou. We still got a couple other fights to talk about, but I want to make sure we talk about Francis. He's your teammate. And it was a crazy fight. Right after the show on Friday, I went upstairs and I watched it and I was really excited. And Anthony Joshua put on a boxing clinic to some extent. Hit him with one of the hardest, not even the one that knocked him out. I think it was the second knockdown. Hit him with just a straight cross that was just like, I mean, completely loaded up. I believe from what people have been saying that he was kind of, it was almost like in a Muay Thai parry. He was trying to, Francis was trying to parry the jab, parry the shots, and he was overreacting to a lot of the movement and to a lot of the shots and the feints. And then Anthony Joshua just pieced him up, and then eventually knocked him out cold and with that third knockdown. So it was a bummer, but at the same time, we have a boxer that's been boxing his entire life, versus Francis, who basically has a second professional boxing fight in his entire life. What did you make of the fight outcome, and what do you see next for Francis?
The fight really surprised me a little bit. I expected a little bit more out of Francis. He had another full boxing camp, but he didn't look like his improvements were really that great from the
Mm.
Tyson Fury fight. With that being said, we only got to watch a round and a half. Dude, you know what? Everyone's, you're the third person today. I just got back from the gym. Are asking, hey, what do you think's next for Francis? You know what's next for Francis? A beautiful beach with an
Mm.
ocean with $50 million. That's what's next for Francis. He doesn't. If I was Francis, I would have been bummed for about 30 seconds, and then be like, hey, where the bitches at, man? I got
Mm.
money now. Where's my drinks at? Where's my party at? Because this guy, not only is he rich now, he has generational wealth. He can take care of his family. He can take care of his kids. He can take care of his kids' kids. We're talking, I think he's made like 40 to $50 million since leaving the UFC. This is generational wealth. Like, I'm so happy for him. Even though he lost, he got brutally knocked out. But I'm sure that nor him nor Eric Nixick are phased by this. He's going to go to the PFL. He's going to go back to do MMA. He's going to win a couple more $1 million there. I mean, dude, it's like, fuck. It's like, it'd be like me going and fighting Floyd Mayweather and getting knocked out in the second round. It's like, and then no, it's not even me because, well, anyways, but it's a bad comparison. But it's the same thing as an MMA fighter transitioning over to a different sport, making millions and millions of dollars. Dude, I wouldn't even sweat the small stuff, man. Again, boxing rules are in place to protect the boxer. Francis Ngannou starts kicking Anthony Joshua. He starts taking him down. This is a fight. To me, Francis Ngannou is still the baddest man on the planet.
Yeah.
There is nobody on the planet that can hang with him in a street fight. I'll meet Anthony Joshua in a street fight before I meet Francis Ngannou. We're talking about size. We're talking about strength. We're talking about wrestling. We're talking about kicks. We're talking about knees and elbows, not just hands. Anthony Joshua, though, let's talk about him for a second. This guy is a true champion. All right, I talked about his loss. He lost to that Mexican fighter a couple of years back. He got knocked out. Probably took him lightly. He did not take Francis Ngannou lightly. He went in there
Yeah.
with a game plan, and you're absolutely right. As I'm watching the fight, I see Francis in the stands. He keeps reaching really far, parries. And I'm like, man, the 1-3's coming. The 1-3's coming. And he didn't catch him with the 3, but that cross, man, he just was reaching so far. And we're talking about the inexperience of Francis Ngannou because that's day one stuff. You cannot be reaching like that. If I'm training with you, if I'm training with a kid, that's the first thing. You cannot start reaching down. It's a turn and catch, turn and catch. So,
Mm.
when I started on that, Anthony Joshua read that, of course, and exposed it. One thing I really liked about Anthony Joshua is he knows he takes this fight with not much to gain in this fight. He's fighting not a boxer that's 0-1 that almost beat Tyson Fury. All right. He doesn't have much to gain. After he brutally knocked out Francis, he turned, just walked to center ring. He didn't celebrate. He didn't throw his hands up. He didn't scream. He didn't. It's like, we're talking about a true professional here. That's true professionalism. He respects that Francis Ngannou came over from a different sport, challenged Anthony Joshua at his sport,
Yep.
and unfortunately went out on his shield. But Anthony Joshua realized that Francis Ngannou isn't a boxer, and he gave him that respect. He didn't celebrate in the ring. He didn't celebrate. He checked on Francis after. Anthony Joshua is a true champion of boxing right now, and he won me over a fan just for that.
Amazing. Okay. I got 2 minutes less than that, and I got to bounce. There's one thing I got to jump ahead to. This is a fighter that we talked about. Not a lot of people did, but we were talking about him. So I got to show it, and we can do it because it was a short fight. Okay, look at this. This is so crazy. If you guys have not seen this, you have to see this. We're seeing a new star being born. Here we go.
Lasted longer than his previous two. He's in red, Josh Parisian in green.
He's so low.
What just happened? What's going on? This is insanity. He clocked him as he was running backwards. He connected on like 3 of those 4 shots, or maybe all 4. And then, I mean, dude, and then that head kick. What, like, have you ever seen anything like this in the heavyweight division?
Now, this guy's a new breed, man. And, knowing Josh Parisian, like, relatively well, like, coming up on the Michigan circuit together, we've trained together,
Wow.
we know each other well. As I'm kind of just bummed out from his coaching staff. Like, what was your game plan here? Like, why are you rushing this big ass heavyweight? Why aren't you trying to put him into the cage, walk him down, put his back against the cage, and gas him out? I was really disappointed with James Grays' coach, and he's a great coach. I have no disrespect towards him, but
Yeah.
maybe the game plan was different. But James being a grappler, a grappling base, I don't really understand what Josh's idea of thinking that, I'm just going to run at this guy at full speed and throw punches, especially when the guy is bigger than him, stronger than him, faster than him, has bigger reach. I just didn't really understand what the game plan was there. Maybe it was just an impromptu thing, like, fuck, I see an opening, I'm going to rush him and get cracked. But I really expected better game planning from his corner.
Fair enough. Okay, I have to jump off, guys, because I got a 2:00 meeting, so I have to immediately jump off. But what a weekend! How incredible! And that is a bummer about that game plan. But Robelis, I think it's actually pronounced Robelis. I heard Ariel say that today. Robelis Despaigne. Either way, I'm excited to see him fight again. What a crazy, exciting fight style and what knockout power. I still want to talk about Petr Yan and Song Yadong. Maybe we can do that on Friday. But anyways, that's it. Thank you guys for joining. If you do like this video, please click that like button. We really appreciate it. And if you want to see more, make sure to click subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our audience. We are growing and we're having a blast. And follow Justin. Follow Justin James.
Sure.
He might be having another fight pretty soon here. So
I'm working on it right now. Actually, I'm working on a main event in Vegas.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. Anyways, have a great week, and we will see you on Friday. Take it easy. Okay, hold on.